Welcome, warriors and wanderers. We are breaking down the business world, exploring the world of gaming, and strategizing our way through new ideas and perspectives. This is the RedKatanas podcast.
Yeah.
My name is AJ, and I'm your host for the RedKatanas podcast. So, welcome to the very first podcast of RedKatanas. We're going to be going through a few different things, kind of how I want things laid out, what's going to be expected as far as hosting and my co-host Mo, and all the different information that we want to cover and some of the different segments that we're going to get into. So let's just get right into it. The first segment that we're more than likely going to intro into the podcast at the very beginning is just going to be essentially me and my co-host just going back and forth. And to introduce my co-host, his name is Mo. He goes by Black Sox if you are in the hip-hop, EDM, tattoo piercing world up in northern Utah. So him and I will probably just be going back and forth in the first section of the podcast. The section after that more than likely is going to end up being just our main segments. We're going to be talking about business. We're going to be talking about ideas and moving on our ideas as far as business and everything is concerned. Let's see. We're going through, the application of new ideas. And for this podcast, I want to go through a few of the different business strategies that I've been taking and that Moifa, Black Sox, and I have also been taking. We'll go through that. We'll go through kind of the past, what got us into some of these different ideas as far as business is concerned, present, what's currently happening in the future, what we're looking at probably doing. Make sure to shout out to a couple of our sponsors, and more than likely the ending of each of the podcasts is going to be dedicated towards audience interactions, different comments that you guys leave on all the different social medias, on any of the different streaming platforms for the podcast, etc. So then we'll make sure we recap and introduce the next podcast. So it's going to be pretty straightforward this time. But like I said, my name is AJ. I am currently in northern Utah, looking at wanting to do a podcast to essentially connect in a more of conversational way with an audience. So have a few different business ventures that I'm looking at doing at the moment. My co-host obviously is not here right now. Our schedules are kind of all over the place, but we'll work on that here in the future. But kind of wanted to dive into the main portions of the podcast and talk about a few different things. One, when I'm saying business, it's more or less into the realm of just ventures of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, what we have going for us as far as work is concerned, the industries that we're in, and then different business ideas that we want to keep are bringing up to create value for other people, because that's essentially what the entirety of what I run businesses. That's what I base that off of. I base it off of two different things. One, lifting where I stand, making sure that the people around me get to be brought with me, and two, just making sure I'm adding more value than I'm taking. Because at the end of the day, I have to keep putting in the hours regardless, and making sure that everyone that's coming with me is on a rising tide, as well as I'm providing value for them. It just makes it a good symbiotic relationship everywhere I go. So that is essentially my philosophy behind business is concerned. But I want to get into the application of new ideas. So over the last probably 6 to 7 months, I have been going back and forth, racking my head around making more money, increasing audience, creating more value for people, and how to create more value for people, increasing the value of relationships that I have. And so these are kind of the different ideas that I've essentially come up with. And again, I just started making a note on my iPad. I just went through the Apple Notes and started like dropping a bunch of different ideas that I had to find a few different sources of income, as well as making sure that, again, I'm adding value. So one, membership club. Next one was drop shipping, ClickFunnels. Podcasts is what I'm doing right now. Copywriting, flipping couches. It was an idea that I got from Ryan Pineda. He's a real estate investor down in Las Vegas. 3D design, freelancing for that, opening up a tattoo and piercing shop. So another thing that Mo does during the day, he's a full-time piercer during the day, and he's in the EDM and hip hop atmosphere, and the community down there are up in northern Utah. So if you guys are looking for quality piercings, go ahead and go book him at thenirmada.art. So there's that. Writing books, being a prime contractor after getting a general contractor's license. So as of right now, I am small unmanned aircraft systems certified as a remote and control pilot. Looking at also getting my general contractor's license, just to kind of get myself some exposure to a bunch of different things. So writing some books, creating a course. So that was what I was saying before with the membership club, essentially having a place where people that want to increase the amount of money they're making, the amount of value they're adding to people, a place where they can all come, act as a community, make money, and uh, not have any of the limitations that typical communities have on them. So, and I'll kind of get into where I got that idea from. Twitch streaming, video games. Mo's really big into video games. If you want to go follow him on Twitch, his Twitch stream is, I think, Black Sox Live, and mine is The King's Work. So everything for me is going to be The King's Work. So I have Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Oh no, sorry, Twitter. I got Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch is all going to be The King's Work, no spaces. Instagram is going to be The King's Work _, and then my website is www.kingswork.win. So that is that. Just a quick shout out to our sponsors. Obviously sponsored by Kingswork LLC, sponsored by Nirmada LLC. If you're interested in that, again, we were talking about connecting with Mo and his piercing. The site to do that at is thenirmada.art. And then, yeah, for sponsors, we also have W.GG, where you have your premium quality energy supplements. They have a bunch of good flavored pre-workout. They got some cool shaker cuts and some merch as well. Definitely recommend checking them out. If you're wanting 10% off, use discount code KINGSWORK. But yeah, so that's just all the different ideas. Affiliate programs, website creation, YouTube, courses online. And that's just essentially, those are all the ideas that we've essentially been bouncing around in my head over the past 7 to 8 months. And yeah, so I'm going to go through each of these ideas, where the past came from, what I'm currently doing with it right now, and what I'm seeing the future for, as far as all of those things are concerned. So let's start first. Starting first with, just go to the top of the list, membership site. So if you are interested in essentially getting into a community where everyone's lifting where they stand, everyone's having each other's backs, making sure that there's no shady crap going on in a community that has ethics and morals and is based in good understanding of having each other's back, not stabbing each other's back, go to kingswork.win, WIN, and then go to Wi-Fi University. It's going to be at the top of the website. That'll bring you straight to the community. There's a 3-day free trial. Get into that, try out the different courses. As of right now, we have 2 courses. First one is social media marketing agency. The second one is a ghost YouTube creation course, essentially creating YouTube videos and making money without ever having to show your face. So those are 2 courses. Definitely highly recommend getting into those. I probably will do a podcast based off of all the information that is in those, and we will kind of go from that point. That's what I'm doing right now. The past kind of what I wanted to get into that is I saw that there are other people making courses online. There's Andrew Tate's Eamon Ghazi. I think that's his name. I gotta make sure that I'm not butchering his name. But a bunch of people that I love their content, I love their Instagram videos. I like their message, a lot of their messages and how they portray themselves. And for anyone that doesn't necessarily like Andrew Tate, not everyone's not for everyone. I appreciate the direction in which he pushes young men to, because there are too many young men nowadays that don't act like men and that are not pushing towards becoming men. They're more pushing towards becoming becoming essentially males that add no value in life. And that's the opposite of what I believe in. So that's kind of where I'm going to stay with that. That is the membership club start portion of it. Again, go to kingswork.win, go to Wi-Fi University up in the top of the site, and it'll bring you to that community. It's a great place to be able to bounce ideas off each other and be in a good community. Drop shipping and Facebook ads. I don't have any drop shipping right now. I have Facebook ads that I do run. I'm not utilizing it as much right now. I'm focusing a lot more on creating content at the moment to make sure that I can have something to advertise and push out as far as Facebook and Instagram advertising. But definitely done it in the past before, done drop shipping before. Great ways to monetize, be able to make money. I'm actually looking at putting out a drop shipping course on Amazon or for Amazon. So definitely look forward to that. And if you get into the community for Kingswork Education called Wi-Fi University, if you get into that community, any additional courses, any more information, any more content that's created for any of those courses, you are going to have automatic access to them. If I put out another course, you're going to have access to that additional course as well, and nothing ever changes. You guys get complete access to it, complete access to the community, and you guys just keep increasing in value as time goes on. So ClickFunnels. I've actually been reading the book from the master of ClickFunnels himself. What's his name? Russell Brunson. King of ClickFunnels himself, reading his book, 30 Days. Actually, what the heck is this book called? 30 Days Digital. Yeah, everything you need to know to start in the first 30 days. Obviously, setting up a podcast. What that kind of came about as far as increasing the conversational side of the audience, which I've always been about. So I'm doing that right now, and in the future, I'm looking at having a podcast that kind of encompasses a few different realms, a few different niches. Copywriting. I have not gotten into copywriting as much. I do some legal analysis and some legal writing for the company that I work for currently. I do federal acquisition during the day for military contracts. So do some things that are somewhat along the lines of copywriting. Flipping couches, did it for a little bit back at the end of COVID. Haven't really looked at that, but there's definitely ways to make money from that. 3D design freelance. If you guys are interested and need any 3D designs with blueprints for anything you want, I definitely have that service available. I have the ability to be able to make that and create CAD programs and files off of that. Making a tattoo and piercing shop. Mo and I are both looking at getting a spot so that we can kind of isolate the piercing and tattoo game in northern Utah. So look forward to that in the future. Being a prime contractor after getting a general contractor's license. I don't have my general contractor's license, but been working in the federal acquisition world for about coming up on 6 years now. And it has been a wild ride. Definitely, I don't know if I'll get into all that on this episode, but it definitely has been an interesting transition period of moving into that. So that's kind of what I wanted to do, that general contractor, because essentially I would be able to utilize the general contractor's license to be able to get more work and be able to help other people get more work and kind of be a liaison between the work and the people that can do it. So finishing second and third book. Scroll down to the bottom of my site, kingswork.win. I have my first book that I ever published. It's a short read, quick read. Definitely recommend checking that out. You can find it on Amazon. If you look up AJAYE Adolfo, ADOLPHO, you'll find my book there on Amazon. We'll finish teachable course. We'll look at it. Courses, Twitch streaming, on Twitch streaming as well. Again, the King's Work is where I stream at. Been looking at getting into that because it's a completely different audience, completely different set of people. I've definitely met some very cool people playing video games. Before, it was definitely just a thing where it was my nothing box. I can play video games and I'm decent at video games, but it allows me to kind of zone everything out and get back into the mode. And now I can do that while having conversations with cool people. Black Sox Live is Mo's one, and him and I play typically first-person shooter games. There's probably some other things that we'll do as well. And might use Twitch as a streaming platform for any live events that we do. We're looking at getting some events in the books and doing some interviews with some different artists at some EDM festivals and some EDM concerts. So we will see how that goes. What did I not cover? Affiliate programs, seeing them all over the place. I like them. They're a cool way to be able to monetize clicks on a site or a social media or in your social media presence, website creation. I create websites as well. I created both kingswork.win and the nomada.art. YouTube, never done it before. I've never done YouTube before. I've never really even thought about doing YouTube before. Didn't really vibe with the idea of becoming a YouTube sensation. Wasn't looking at trying to be the next Logan Paul. But it's a great way to connect with audience, and I'm going to start doing YouTube editing and creating a podcast on YouTube and streaming that out to Apple Music or for Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts. So yeah, that's kind of all the ideas in a nutshell, the past, present, and future for all of them. More than likely going to look at doing streaming, continue being an author and writing, creating websites, YouTube, paid communities online, and getting some ClickFunnels set up. Yep. And doing some freelance work as well. Again, I do drone videography. I do 3D design freelance. I can help you publish books as well. So that's just all the plugs for who I am and what I've essentially been doing. Federal acquisition, and kind of moving on to the next section of what I do during the day is federal acquisition. That's kind of where I've gotten a lot of my business knowledge and a bunch of principles that I've learned while being in the military contracting sphere. So as far as military contracts is concerned, the entire idea behind it is the United States military is required to provide economic support to local businesses. They are required to give part of the taxpayer money that they get as a budget to build their infrastructure, and they're required to hire private citizens to do it. They cannot have their own active duty military members do it. Active duty military and reservists, they do their job. They are there to be the pilots. They are there to be the infantrymen to operate any of the different systems and so on and so forth. They're the ones essentially pulling the trigger of all the guns. They don't make the guns. They don't make the planes. They don't make the buildings. They don't pave the roads on their bases. They don't give their own gas to the base exchange gas stations. They don't fill all the base exchange or the commissary with any of the food. Those all have to be contracted out. So on the federal acquisition side, essentially my job for federal acquisition is to connect the different things when it comes to the military wanting something and someone that's able to provide all that. So that's my entire deal. My dad was in the United States military for 21 years. He was a firefighter, so I got mad respect for any active duty reservists and any first responders out there. You always have the love and support of King's work. And he was in the military for 21 years, and he got out, retired for about maybe a couple months, and then got back into it on the contractor side of everything. So I've been working with him since 2018, fulfilling military contracts all over the world. So that's kind of a long and short of what I've had experience to as far as that's concerned. Learned a ton along the way, have a decent grasp of a bunch of different processes in business, from HR to accounting, to understand the legal precedents of how a business works, contracting law, etc., organizational standards, technology. I can do just about everything across every platform. So that's kind of where I'm coming from as far as making the podcast, and having it in my head doesn't necessarily add value to a ton of other people outside of unless I directly work for you as a contractor or if I'm helping you get a contract, which that's actually another one of the courses that I'm going to end up having. Is I want to have a federal acquisition course that I'm going to provide to be able to help private entities get access to the federal acquisition world and to increase their revenue that way, because it's a very intricate world and it has less to do with value added in comparison to other private sectors, in comparison to the private sector. If Apple wants to sell a computer, they have to have a good quality computer within a reasonable price range and have people that actually want to buy it, right? They have to have a market for it. On the government side, they just have to need it and justify it, and then they can toss money at it. They don't make money based off how much they produce. They make decisions based off national security, and they get funded to do so in any way that they can legally see fit. Yeah, sometimes. I don't know. It's a different world. It doesn't operate the same way as like I'm gonna go sell bananas, but I'm gonna sell bananas in Antarctica. It's not really a ton of the monkeys that are eating bananas in Antarctica, so there's no market there. The United States military operates in a non-typical, uh, non-typical economic way. So that'd be the best way that I can kind of do that. Go for sponsorships. Sponsored again by W.GG, high quality energy supplements for your pre workout needs. They're fantastic. They also have some merch. Their sweaters are really cool, and I have one of their new hats coming in. It's really funny on the backside of one of their hats. When I get it, I'll show you guys. But it says "Do Better" on the backside of it. So if you wear it backwards, all you see is "Do Better." It's good fun. Also sponsored by Nirmata LLC and Kingswork LLC. So that is all of that. So typically, after we go through the main segments, what I'd want to do is go through audience interactions, kind of see what you guys have been asking and talking about on our socials, what the reviews were looking like on all the different podcast platforms, and then we jump into an interview or a feature if we had one, and then we just close it on out. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. That's kind of what the podcast is going to end up being about. It's about as interesting as we're going to be able to make it at the moment. I want this to kind of be a dynamic thing, a flexible thing where it can kind of cater towards what the audience is wanting and needing. So, again, any suggestions, any feedback, any bad things, good things, don't like this, you do like this, let me know in the comments, and definitely subscribe to RedKatanas podcast. Look forward to seeing you guys. If you guys can follow me, again, I'm on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, The King's Work. On Instagram, it's The King's Work _. And then you can always hit me up on kingswork.win. Much love, own your life, and God bless.